Hey, what's up my people? IceRestrict12 here, and the ban list finally dropped this morning. It seemed like an eternity. We usually get a ban list every 3 months, but for some reason Konami took almost 5 months to drop a ban list. Now they didn't really give us a reason why, but I'm just glad that the ban list is here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the winners and losers of the ban list. So you probably already know what the ban list is, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the strategies that got stronger because of it, and some of the strategies that were definitely nerfed because of this ban list. Now let's go ahead and just do a little recap of what the ban list looks like now. So this is going to be effective October 3rd of 2022, and the ban list is the following. In the forbidden category, we have Fairy Tale Snow, Ronin Totem, Christian Hockey Fibrax, Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon, and Red Reboot. Now in the limited section, we have Blackwing, Steam the Cloak, Cyberjar, Mecha Phantom Beasto Lion, Substitute, Spellbook of Judgment, and a Pointer of the Red Lotus. And in the unlimited category, we have Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter, Cyber Angel Benten, Shooting Riser Dragon, Fusion Destiny, Nadir Servant, Trickstar Light Stage, and Wall of Revealing Light. Now, this is the ban list, but what decks, got a lot more powerful because of it, and which decks were definitely nerfed. Now let's go ahead and start with the losers, because the ban list is really rarely, does it really propel a strategy to, the top spots in tournaments. But the ban list is more about keeping in check those strategies or those cards that are getting abused, or that are seeing a lot of play, or that are just outright much better than the rest. So it's more about reeling things in than really propelling decks forward. So let's talk about the losers first. I think we have to talk about Sprites and Paleozoic. They lost Ronin Totem, so going into their Totally Awesome is going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, I think TR Elements was addressed by getting rid of Fairy Tale Snow, but I think for them, that was more like a little slap on the wrist, to be honest. I think by hands down, TR Elements still gonna be the best deck of the format. Branded Despia is another deck that was definitely affected by the loss of Fairy Tale Snow. Now, these next two cards, they're going to affect some decks that are seeing a lot of competitive play specifically, but I think these two cards are going to completely warp the format because they were used in so many different strategies and so many different ways, and without these cards, a lot of players, not just the ones that play the strategies that I'm about to mention, but other players that play, some road decks, some less popular decks, are also gonna have to see themselves forced to change their strategy a little bit, and that is Christian Haiku Fibrax. God, I always had a hard time saying that. And it's used by strategies like Sprite, Punk, Dragon Link, but many more strategies use this card to get their synchros out, and also Chaos Ruler the Magical Dragon. Strategies such as Punk and Dragon Link really depended on this monster, but there's other strategies out there that also use Chaos Ruler to be able to get those synchros on the field. Now, I think another big loser of the format is all of us, because Mystic Mine is sadly still part of this format. I'm all for cards that slow the game down a little bit. Yu-Gi-Oh can sometimes get a little too crazy, but we have cards like Skill Drain that slow the game down, or some of the Floodgates, or Dimension Shifter, cards that do kind of bring the format, to a little bit of a, they pump the brakes on it a little bit, but Mystic Mine outright stops the game. The game just becomes, it stops being fun, to be honest with you. It goes beyond slowing the format, it just outright stops the format. And I think it is a very toxic card that will eventually be addressed. Why they didn't address this card, this format, honestly, I don't know. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the winners. There's some strategies that definitely benefited from this ban list. And the first one I want to talk about, it is going to be Drytron. With Cyber Angel Benten at 3, this strategy can go back to being that, that imposing first turn presence that was when it was first released. Drytron is definitely going to start making more appearances at big tournaments, and if they get to go first, watch out, because you might not get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Other strategies that saw a little bit of a boost with this ban list are trap decks. We have decks like Eldritch, Labyrinth, and Altergeist that saw a little bit of a boost thanks to Red Reboot being banned. I mean, I'm a big fan of cards that if a card can completely shut down one strategy, outright stop it, such as Imperial Judgment, or Red Reboot that can stop trap heavy decks. Just you know, cards that in like one shot decks. I'm not a big fan of that. That is basically an auto win button against trap decks, and I'm so glad they got rid of it. I think it makes things more fun. You can still beat them. I mean, there's things like Lightning Storm, evenly matched. There's so many ways that you can deal with trap decks, but outright stopping their whole deck with one card, I think that was a little too ridiculous. Then you also have Spellbook of Judgment, which is definitely going to make spellbooks part of the conversation now, but there might be some shenanigans there with Sky Striker. I think if some players are going to get really creative, I think Sky Striker players are some of the most creative players in Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're going to find a way to make that work. Now, as far as the format goes, a couple notes that I just want to mention. I think this is going to be a slower format for sure, because they are allowing some strategies that tend to slow the game down a little bit to be a little more prominent, more prevalent. Now also, Konami is always protecting their investment by nerfing what needs to be nerfed, except the new stuff. If you notice, they never hit stuff directly. So Sprites is not getting hit, TR Elements is not getting hit. They kind of indirectly hit the strategy, but for instance, TR Elements I'm seeing a lot of play with different variations. Sprites and Toads by far was probably the best way to play Sprites, but Sprite players, they have other options at their disposal that they can use now that maybe getting Totally Awesome won't be as viable in their strategy. So I think we are entering a new, slower format, but we'll see. There's a couple new cards coming our way that might shift things around a little bit. But with that, guys, that's the end of the video. You let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this ban list? Do you think it's going to be healthier for the game to be a little bit slower, or do you enjoy a more fast-paced Yu-Gi-Oh? Now, if you can do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll be catching you in the next one.